Meghan Markle has revealed that she had a big crush on Prince William before she met Harry.
I think any of the hate that she gets is kind of deserved.
I just wonder whether she wanted specifically Prince Harry or just somebody who was very rich and powerful. Should there be a general election?
Any time you like.
What we've got, we have to live with.
Should there be a general election? Hello and welcome to That Was the Woke That Was, the topical quiz show that gives you the opportunity to hear the wokest stories of the week. On my teams tonight are Dave Chawner and Phil Dave, and Richard Endacott and Anna McGovern. In her latest Spotify podcast, Meghan Markle has revealed that she had a big crush on Prince William before she met Harry.
Who didn't,
Scandal.
really? Who didn't?
Well, I think the suggestion here is that maybe she was just after a prince and she wasn't particularly...
Well, I was going to say, she's not that fussy, is she, really? Because everyone's all included.
Well,
so she doesn't mind.
Would you be willing to go with a ginge if it was that rich?
No, not really.
Really?
I think she'd try and get what she can, get what she can get. Go for, Prince William might have more prospects. Go for the top.
But is that what you call it?
So.
But look, at the end of the day, are we convinced now that she is just a gold digger?
You know what I would say? So, I mean, she started her podcast. Is she doing a YouTube channel? I think she's doing a YouTube
Has she
channel.
actually started her podcast now?
I know she has started her podcast.
Started it. Okay.
I haven't listened to her podcast.
Well, I remember when the
I don't think you're alone there.
They'd be more popular.
Less hair is a sign of virility. So Phil over here, he might be in with a shout himself.
Let
me assure you, Richard, that's not true. Let me assure you. There is no way, of all the virile people I've ever met, Phil Davis.
Just think, actually. I mean, it could have been great, really. Rather than William and Kate, it would have been William and Hate.
I don't think. Well, obviously, the royal family are an internationally renowned family, so it would be weird if she didn't sort of see the royals.
Yes, so she would know who he was.
Yeah.
She also visited Buckingham Palace, and so she probably did think about that. I mean, I just wonder whether. She wanted specifically Prince Harry, or she wanted just somebody who was very rich and powerful. Because she did. I mean, I remember when she allegedly told the Queen that she was willing to move into Windsor Castle, and the Queen was like, "Can you imagine? You hate your daughter. You always hate your daughter-in-law anyway." And she decided granddaughter-in-law. But she's now decided you're moving out of your house, and she's moving.
Yeah.
All right, love, calm it, right? I'm willing to give you a wedding, right? You can go up my drive in the carriage. But you're not throwing me out.
She's just said, have you thought about a retirement home?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, that would be an episode of relocation. I'd love to see the Queen moving out, Meghan Markle moving in. That'd be brilliant.
Royal escape to the country.
Has anyone ever thought about this? Could be, the producers of Suits going, look, you're not very good. Where you need to move aside. Maybe a career change.
This is the career change she chose.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, you're a Windsorian. Would you relish the opportunity of Meghan Markle taking over Windsor Castle?
Absolutely no way. No. I think that's, Windsor's very much a tourist attraction. This will be a tourist distraction.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, I think she made a choice by moving. She wanted to separate herself from the royal family and Prince Harry as well. And, I think any of the hate that she gets is kind of deserved because she did that whole documentary and completely slated them. And then I think she wants to keep the title and kind of keep the sort of fame that comes with it, but then is happy to slate the royal family after everything they've done.
Yeah, and I felt very sorry for the good people of Dumbarton in Scotland. And she claimed that that her son had been given the title Earl Dumbarton as an insult because it had the word dumb in it. Well, of course, the reason is because her husband is the Earl of Dumbarton, and when you have a son, you can give the son the title.
Well, it's the same reason that Harry was going to be Prince of Cockermouth, but they decided against that. So
that's not true, though, is it?
No,
you just made that up.
I don't know anything. Genuinely, that's what we can assert right now.
That's why you've never done well at the Edinburgh Festival. It's quality. The quality of the joke's just very low.
I'd stop that sentence. That's why you've never done well. ... Like that's my brand. So yeah. That's what I'm going for.
All right, well, come on. In her latest Spotify podcast, has Meghan Markle said that she actually preferred Prince William?
Well, let's put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if at one stage she did, but I don't think she'd openly admit it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I agree with Phil. I think we're going to go no
so.
here.
That is absolutely right. OK,
Yes.
1 point to you. So on to Richard and Anna. OK, Just Stop Oil protesters have thrown chocolate cake all over the King Charles waxwork at Madame Tussauds.
And you know what? I wouldn't put it past them.
Just Stop Oil, they have gone a bit too far multiple times, haven't they?
And you know what? They're not helping themselves with the public, because if they're trying to get their message across and then they're vandalising things, you know, people are just going to think they're idiots, which they are, to be honest. And a lot of people won't associate, you know, they won't want to support them or endorse their message, because they'll just think the stuff that they're doing is completely ludicrous. Well, like, you know, what happened on Dartford Bridge, I think, for example, like blocking the roads for hours. Like, I knew someone who was in the
they're so stupid. The Dartford Bridge gets blocked by themselves. You don't need to block it, seriously.
I always thought the solution to that was the blow dart. Just sedate them for a couple of minutes. But anyway, but Richard, you're an educationalist. You're a teacher by trade. You now run an education firm. Look, a lot of young people are really into this whole concept of this direct action and whatever. You know, are we winding people up?
No, it reminds me years ago of there was a demonstration in Windsor where we had this big riot over in Dedworth, you know, craziness. But it was 2 protagonists and 200 people trying to get on the telly. And that's it's similar these days, you know.
I think you're thinking of the coronation, mate.
Oh, that's what it was.
That was a pretty big deal, actually, yeah.
But it's, you know, a lot of people trying to be Insta-famous, isn't it? There's a lot of walking around with a video and trying to film themselves and doing it. And so the stunts are becoming more extreme because, of course, in order to break that sort of Instagram market, you have to be more extreme.
Do you know, I'd not heard of the phrase Insta-famous, but actually it makes a lot of sense now, because I've said on this show before, and forgive me for being repetitious, about the kids that went to Extinction Rebellion and then went and got hamburgers at McDonald's afterwards. And of course, people say they're hypocrites, but actually, they're just not bothered. They're not bothered about the Extinction Rebellion thing. They're just going along with the crowd and feel obliged. And so the smart thing is to go along and then with your mates go, right, let's nip some McDonald's now nobody knows.
Because it all gets televised, and they know that if they do these, you know, performative acts, it'll get on telly and then people will see it. And then it's afterwards they're like, oh, we can go to McDonald's, you know, it's all over now. Shift's over, let's go, get some food.
Does that make younger people think that they have to go along with all of it?
So the stunts are, you know, in the old days when you remember Fathers for Justice climbing Big Ben, you know, 25 years ago, it was to get on the telly or to get on the front page of the newspaper. Nowadays, of course, because it's instant, you know, they are looking for those likes, they're looking for those comments, but the competition out there is fierce.
Is it true that Just Stop Oil threw chocolate cake on the waxwork?
I think it's false. I think it was a custard pie.
Because I know the story, but I don't know specifically what they threw. But I think you're right, so I'll go custard pie.
You are wrong. It was chocolate cake.
No.
This is the first ever question of Endacott's career, and he got it on TV. Anyway, over to you two. And I have to say, Dave and Phil, you have now pulled ahead, remember? So it's all to go for. So, Ukraine's head of military intelligence has claimed Vladimir Putin is using a body double because his ears have changed sizes in recent appearances.
I really hope they change sides. That would be amazing. Yeah. And Mr. Potato Head, but with Vladimir Putin.
It's like one of them had an earring before. It's changed size. It's just a clip-on. It's just a clip-on.
I mean, I don't know about you, but if I were Putin, I'd be really annoyed of all the parts of the anatomy to change size. And it was like,
He might have bigger concerns on his plate right now. Than his ears.
I mean, relatively soon they'll probably have his ears on the plate.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I just think about Vladimir Putin that you know, I accept that Russia is a place where strange things happen. We've all seen those videos, right? But it is a particularly bizarre story, all of this. I mean, here is a man who apparently has stolen 200 billion from the Russian taxpayer. He's somebody who started various wars. I mean, he could not run a bath, right? Or bath, as you prefer to say.
Yeah,
but he still seems to be getting away with it.
Is it really that weird, though? Because don't a lot of political and sort of world leaders have body doubles?
No.
Like I think that is a thing.
Saddam Hussein had 7.
Well, I'm currently the body double for Adam Sandler, but a younger, more successful Adam Sandler. But
I was a Henry VIII impersonator when I got a beard.
Feels just every person on Crime Watch. I think, though, that it's one of those things. I swear have you not heard of that happening? I swear in China they have body doubles and stuff.
have Vladimir Putin's ears either changed sides or changed sizes, in your opinion?
I think it's almost like I haven't been worried about his ears. If they haven't, I think someone should create some sort of website of Vladimir Putin's. You know, you could get the Boris's...
Vladimir'sEars.com.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm with Dave. I think of all of what I've been watching of Vladimir Putin, I can't say his ears have been at the top of my list.
Yeah.
I feel like that this is nutty enough to be true, but I wouldn't say it's true because I know it is. I feel like this is bonkers enough to be true.
I want it to be true, so we're going to say, because we want it to be true, we're going to say true.
It is true, absolutely true. I have to say to you, there's a lot of fake news knocking about in that war, which is a legitimate strategy. So whether there is a Vladimir Putin body double remains to be seen.
Can we fact check these answers? I'm not having this.
No, believe me, the head of military intelligence in Ukraine has said all kinds of things. Remember, his job is to confuse the Russians. Therefore,
in fact, your next question is going to be true or false. The head of the Ukrainian army said that Russia's invaded Narnia. That's going to be the next question.
Of which is going to be true.
If they'd have got into Narnia, I wonder which Russian leaders they'd have found. Well, this guy wasn't elected in the general election when he first came in as Prime Minister. He's just like Rishi Sunak, but there isn't a war at the moment. So I've been out and about in Westminster asking people if there should be a general election right now. Should there be a general election?
What we've got, we have to live with.
But we elected Boris, then Liz came in, and then Rishi came in.
But Boris, but it doesn't mean to say he's going to be there 5 years. He could have died, or he could have been ill. But she was ill, wasn't he?
But he didn't die. No, I mean, politically he died. Are you a bit annoyed that we've got an unelected Prime Minister?
Very. Very annoyed. Not happy at all.
Which way would you vote if there was an election?
The Christian People's Alliance Party, whose rosette I'm wearing and of which I'm a member, and I did stand for them at the local elections in South Hertfordshire.
I know Christian People's Alliance, they are Christian kind of, but the nation is gone woke. So if you mention Jesus, they'll call you something else. They'll call you bigot. Anything truth, people don't want the truth these days. They like a lie. They like different narratives. Christian People's Alliance are the ones.
Should there be a general election?
Anytime you like, yep.
And will Labour win it?
By a street.
And is it good that we have an unelected government?
Well, we don't have an unelected government. We have an unelected Prime Minister, don't we? A succession of them. So that's not good, no.
I mean, the big advantage of Rishi Sunak being Prime Minister is that he won't conspire to bring down the government anymore.
No, well, the rest of his colleagues will conspire to do that anyway. He doesn't need to. They'll do it for him.
Are the Conservatives now just a shambles?
They're complete shambles, and of course it's a country that's suffering as a result of it.
Good to see you, yeah. I'm really following you, Nigel, and Richard, and all the rest.
Listen, should there be a general election?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's a trick question, isn't it?
I'm going back to Scotland, and if you don't like the government here, you want to see what it's like in Scotland. That's all I can say.
It's fair to say our viewers are not big fans of Nicola Sturgeon.
Is anybody?
Nicola Sturgeon is.
Yes, that's true.
I think her husband is as well.
No, that's not what I hear.
We just can't go any further with that. What are you looking forward to in a Rishi Sunak leadership, apart from the Roland Rat look?
Well, he stopped the fracking, so that's wrong. He should do fracking.
These people are intangible, aren't they? Yeah, they have no sort of backbone. They don't command any sort of respect or loyalty or anything. You know, you want somebody who's strong, a sort of, shouldn't say it, but a sort of Thatcherite type of figure.
There we go. We've got to give him a kiss. Oh. There we go. Should there be a general election?
Yes.
Why?
Just because people are not happy, and yes, I do believe.
It just feels sometimes that the government isn't listening to us at all. So are you just wasting your time standing here?
No, I do agree. I think we've got a set of politicians who are answerable only to the elites. They're not listening to us. Frankly, I don't think they care very much about us. Unless I think we do activate ourselves, I think then they'll listen because they don't have control anymore.
Why should there be a general election?
Because we've got an unelected Prime Minister.
So what will general election do? What benefit would it be?
Well, it would potentially bring in a new set of politicians who might be better.
How do you know they might be better?
I don't.
Well, they may not be better, they may be worse.
But
we're from frying pan to fire.
Are you happy with Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister?
Wish he hadn't appointed Suella Braverman. I think it was an error of judgment. Otherwise, hopefully compromise will try and get some stable government again.
Are the Conservative Party now a joke?
They are a disparate group made up of different strands. I don't see how they can stay together for much longer.
Frankly, the political class that we have ended up with don't represent us. They don't act for us. They really, truly act for a higher group of elites, is what I think. But the answer, I think you were saying, is there any point of this? I think I've been over that in my mind. I think there is. We've got to activate ourselves, because I think the one thing these elitists don't like, or they can't handle, is when people like us start going out on the streets.
Are you worried about having an unelected government?
Well, not unelected government. The government was elected in, but the way they choose their leader is not fit for purpose today. And we feel that we've been left behind whilst the party suits itself and not the country.
Which way would you vote if there was a general election?
Not Tory.
Anyone but the Tories?
Yes.
What about Nigel Farage?
No.
What about Keir Starmer?
Nah.
What about the Liberal Democrat bloke, whoever it is this week?
Well, it's a bit rude to not say his name. He said Nigel Farage, but he don't say Liberal Democrat. That's a bit unfair. Come on, where's your empire?
I can't remember his name right now. It's Sir somebody or other.
Come on, you're the reporter.
I can't remember his name. Right, we're going to cut this. Can't do this anymore. I can't remember the Liberal Democrat leader's name. I've been defeated by a bald man in a backpack who was only here to show his daughters round Westminster. What a disaster. A newsreader has been suspended by the BBC after gleefully reacting to the news that Boris Johnson had pulled out of the leadership race.
So I know the answer to this, it's quite reflective of the BBC. You know, I think it's been said for a while they're incredibly biased in some of their reporting, and I think this is just a public display of what we already know.
Well, we had to when we were filming last week not properly talk about the Premiership simply because we just thought, well, we don't know how long Liz Truss is going to last. I mean, I've got a friend who went in the Big Brother house and lasted longer than Liz Truss lasted in Downing Street. I mean, and he didn't win.
Yeah, I'm a teacher. My school term lasted longer than Liz Truss.
Her campaign to become Prime Minister lasted longer. That's fact. It actually lasted longer.
Yeah, that's right. The campaign to be Prime Minister lasted longer than the Premiership.
It's just been like a revolving door of Prime Ministers at the moment. I think we've had like 3 in the last 3 months. So it's incredibly embarrassing for the Conservative Party.
So come on, you're officially politically independent, Richard, although you're right-leaning, everybody knows that. What do you think about this Rishi Sunak situation?
In what context?
Well, is it right what he's done? I mean, look, I was thinking this is brilliant for anybody who's after a job. What you do is you go for a job, you lose it, then you get rid of the better candidate or the winning candidate and abolish the process.
And look, you've got to think about, there's 2 elements here, because obviously the membership didn't choose him. Yeah. And so the Conservative Party membership did not choose the candidate who's now currently the Prime Minister. Fact. Okay. But, however, in order for there to be an effective government over the next 2 years, assuming that the Conservative Party wishes to stay in power until 2025, then you've got to think, right, OK, who is going to be able to lead
Command the majority.
Command the majority in the Commons, because any vote against is going to really bring down...
I mean, my problem with it is, he lost the leadership race. The membership voted for Liz Truss, and yes, it did go appallingly, everyone can agree. But it's just, like, he's now been brought in by the MPs, and the membership, they haven't had a say.
But what we do time and time again in this country, and it's potentially not our fault, but it's what we do, is we imagine the British Constitution is something that it's not. At the end of the day, somebody has to command not the Conservative Party, but a majority in Parliament.
Yes.
And therefore, you can say all day, oh, well, the members should have the final vote, but in reality, the MPs have the final vote.
Well, the problem I have is the fact that the Conservative Party is so split at the moment, and so many people are leaving because they're so unhappy with the state of the party. And with a party that's so split, you need to unite the members and unite the party as a whole to actually get people behind the Conservatives. Because at the moment, if there's a general election...
They've been in since 2010, in reality.
Yes,
right?
in reality.
That's quite a long stint.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, it's a bit of a tough medicine, but you need to call a general election.
Yes.
And that's my personal view,
now,
is that for the sake of the Conservative Party itself in the long term, I think they need to go into a period of opposition regroup, and then rework out what conservatism is.
You can't push this Brexit agenda of saying, all of these unofficial bureaucrats and then not having a general election. I'm sorry, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's call a general election.
They have been democratically elected into government.
Not by the nation.
And my problem is everything going on. I was going to say, everything that's going on, we're in an economic crisis. People are struggling to pay their bills. I think we have a much bigger problem on our hands than now putting on another general election, another vote that will take months, and then bringing possibly a whole new party in. We need to unite the party now.
But let me respond to Phil's comment, because I said something about the whole idea of us making up the constitution and thinking it's something that it isn't. At the end of the day, Boris Johnson was not elected to lead the country for 5 years. Each individual constituency elected a member of parliament.
Correct.
And there is still an overwhelming majority for the Conservatives to stay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the only one around this table who knows that. You're telling the wrong person.
Yeah, that's right, actually. But you know what? I just wanted to be nice to you because I felt. But look, I mean, the other point to make is that we don't have a constitution that makes a great deal of sense in this respect, and so maybe it is time for a general election, Dave.
What about the Conservative Party manifesto in which they were elected?
Yeah.
That's everything that Liz Truss did. Liz Truss basically binned that manifesto.
Yep.
So at that point, do you have a mandate then to govern? That's the big question. Now, if Sunak then comes in and says, this is the manifesto commitments that we are made, this is what we go, and then Phil's absolutely right. The constituent MP has been elected on their own merits on that manifesto commitment. So in which case you do have a mandate to move forward, but if you then ignore the manifesto commitments, then you don't.
But Richard, I'm going to say this to you because I think this is the principal concern. So look, I don't have a problem with, for the purpose of good governance, having a general election. I take all your points about the manifesto, but at the same time, in 2019, the reason, apart from the absolute lunacy of Jeremy Corbyn, the principal reason why the Labour Party lost was a European policy that Keir Starmer designed. This man loves the EU, negotiated behind the back of Theresa May. There's a genuine danger with this man coming into power, isn't there?
There is, but that's not for me to decide. That's for the British people to decide.
I also think I'd be really
you're not
interested
British.
Collectively.
For me,
Collectively.
I want to avoid a general election at all costs because I think they have a chance now to turn the party around, actually meet the points of the manifesto. But to do that, we have to unite the party. And I think, to be fair, if Keir Starmer was given a chance to lead the government, I don't know what they stand for. I don't know what they do to this country, but I don't think it'd be I think it'd be a lot worse than what we're seeing right now.
So has a newsreader been suspended by the BBC for gleefully reacting to the news that Boris has gone?
Yes, it's absolutely true.
That's absolutely right, yes, so they've got a point. So here we go. It's now 2-1. Right, so come on, Dave.
Catching up.
Come on, Phil.
Pressure.
Right. Climate protesters in Germany who glued themselves inside a Porsche museum have complained about the conditions after the staff left the building, turned off the heat, turned off the light, and didn't bother calling the police.
Can I clarify? Is this a Porsche museum or a posh museum?
It wasn't posh. It didn't have any carpets. They just left them there. Now, somebody's told me that if this story were true, it would also include somebody who glued their hand to the floor. It blew up to twice the size, and there was nobody to call an ambulance.
Can I just say, I actually think that what happened is that they took inspiration from the British climate protesters, because whenever they've called the police, they've had really excellent waiter service, and I think they were rather hoping that the German police would replicate that. So maybe they just thought maybe someone would bring them a cup of hot soup.
Apparently there was also an incident with toilets, as in they couldn't get them, and some of it was bread, not water.
But did you see in France, I think it was, where a protester had glued their hand to the road in the middle of like a French dual carriageway or something like that? French police having none of it, OK? They did not go up and give them water. They did not go and make sure they were all right and patted them on the head and made them soup or anything like that. And do you know what they did? Grabbed the hand and ripped it off the road. It went viral. It was honestly
I'll tell you though,
things.
The French police have got something brilliant with rioters because they got the water cannon. The French are not that keen on washing,
That's very effective.
Like, oh my God, water! No! Come on, get them!
I was going to say, there was a story recently where actually they blocked the roads and someone was actually trying to get to hospital for like life-saving treatment, and then because they couldn't get through the protests and all the crowds, they died because they couldn't get to hospital. Like, it's actually killing people. I don't care.
I'm sitting there going, this is craziness. It's like, in my head, I'm thinking, This is just
Well, they
absolute...
don't think of anyone else but their own agendas.
But their attitude would be, Anna...
And they're not trying to be Insta-famous.
But their attitude would be, look, everybody's going to die if we don't let this one person die. I mean, I find that remarkably selfish, but that's what they'd say.
Because that's all they think about. It's their own agenda that they want to deliver. And they think, oh, it's that one person that, you know, that one person that was sparred, but it's for a bigger purpose, a bigger, greater purpose to save the planet.
If everyone is going to die, will these protesters hurry up and do it, please?
Oh, here we go. Anyway,
it's like an extreme trolley problem.
Do you know what I'm going to do? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm only going to give you half a point if you get this right.
If we get it wrong, do you only take half a point off?
We've got a chance to catch up.
If you get it wrong, you lose all your points.
I think the bigger question is, what would you, if our police did that, what would you lock yourself into? Like, would it be, you know, like a cheesecake, like the Cheesecake Factory, or like, I mean, there would be Hamlet.
No, do you know what I'd do? If I could glue myself to anything, it'd be you.
What does
I'll tell you what. There's a company in the Czech Republic. I'm not joking. Well, what they do is when you're going on a stag do in Prague, you can hire a bloke, right, who paints himself blue.
How do you know this?
No, hang on. Paints himself blue. He's a Smurf, right? Oh. And what he does is he runs up to the groom and chains himself to him, and then they leave with the key. And so what that means is for your whole stag weekend, you're chained to a Smurf. Now you have to sleep with him. You have to take him to the toilet. You have to go to the restaurant with him. And what they do
when you say you have to sleep with him,
well, what else are you going to do?
Isn't that where the expression "a blue weekend" comes from?
So apparently what you do is you tell them what flight you're going to be arriving on and what flight you're leaving. They run up, chain the bloke to you, go off, and it's only when you get back to Prague airport to leave that they will unchain the Smurf. I mean, that is the perfect.
Never heard that. It'd be very memorable, though.
It'd be great stag do. Are you getting married soon, Dave?
No.
Mind you, if we got a Smurf, it'd be bigger than you.
Well, I was going to say, that's the thing that I do love about Rishi, is that this is a victory for all small men everywhere. All those people that say you can't do anything. Let's forget he's the first British Asian
Rishi's
Prime
our
Minister.
height. I don't care what anyone
I know.
says. And I don't know about you, I've never had to bend down to get into a tube train before, so I think the world was made for our height.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Well, the world was made for you, but then 1,000 years later, and also, it's worth pointing out that Dave is sitting on a big cushion in order to look.
That's fake news.
Let me tell you, it's not so he looks taller. He needs the cushion, believe me.
Hey, what's in a donut shape? That's what I wanted to know. I think we're going to go true on this story.
Absolutely true. Yes. I mean, God bless the people at the Porsche Museum for just leaving them to it. What a brilliant idea. But you're only getting half a point because I gave it away.
I think that's unfair.
Anyway, so you're on 2.5, but you're still only on 1 point.
We can catch up.
Sad.
Come on. After being banned from a restaurant for being rude to staff, James Corden has announced he's opening his own restaurant in Beverly Hills where customers are allowed to be rude to waiters.
Well, this already exists with Karen's Diner. People actually go into the restaurant to actually pay to get abused by all the waiters. They'll call them names, call them all sorts, just to have a bad dining experience.
But Anna, why bother going to a specialist diner when you can just go to France? Yeah. I mean, great food, extremely rude staff.
Exactly. But cheaper, I guess, for people.
The problem is then you'd have to be in France.
Do you know, I was at Paris airport and I was trying to find the correct place to get my flight from. And I walked up to this bloke and I went, excuse me, where's the help desk? And he goes, I'm sorry, I do not speak any English. All right.
Well, you just did, so.
Then I said, I need some help. And he goes, I went, but I said, I've got a problem. And he went, I went, but problem's a French word. Right, how can you
I'm going to step in and defend the French. I love the French. I love France.
What's good about Paris?
Brilliant. Right, OK, so Paris. Apart from Paris, you want a mountain holiday, you go skiing, you go to France. You want a beach holiday, you go to France.
Have you been mountain?
You want a drinking holiday, you go to France. Literally, France, everything you possibly want. Plus, also, the entertainment of the locals is up there.
I have to say to you, if James Corden arrived at Eat As Much As You Like Chinese, they'd crap themselves. Oh, not him. No. A will be rude, and B will have it all. What they always do is get the duck out of the way, serve the chow mein, it's cheap.
See, the reason why I don't think this is true is, you wouldn't let a serial arsonist open a fireworks factory victory, would you?
I don't know. It'd be quite explosive and fun. Hey.
Because I did see him all over the news. Like, all these restaurants came out and said, "Oh, he's been really rude here." So it was like a real trend.
He is from Wickham. They're all rude in Wickham.
The funny thing is,
the community thing.
The funny thing is about him. He's been accused of letting fame go to his head and being obnoxious to people, but it is something he publicly admitted to. I think he was on Piers Morgan's show when he admitted and said, yeah, that is all absolutely true. And his other, is it Rob Brydon, his name, the other star? They'd fallen out because James Corden had been so horrible to him. Once again, he admits it's true.
Oh my gosh. At least he's honest about it. I guess they're not trying to deny it. But, you know, when people get too caught in it, it gets to their head and they think they're better than everyone else.
Well, that's what's happened with me, so I'm not
yeah, of course. So important.
But would you kick off in a restaurant if you ordered an egg yolk omelette and some white of the egg found its way in?
No.
Again, kind of giving away is this true or false? Well, this is what happened.
No, that doesn't mean he's opened up his own restaurants.
Yeah, I haven't seen it anywhere because I feel like he would have talked about it.
Yeah,
I feel like it would have been a big hit back and everyone would have talked about it. I haven't personally seen it. I've only just seen all the reports about him being really rude.
Plus also everyone would go to Karen's.
Yeah, they would go to Karen's. It'd be a big competitor. Yep. I'm going to say it's false.
You are absolutely right.
Another
That's
point.
3 points each. By the way, James Corden is banned from this show. He hasn't done anything to me. He's just not very funny. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm still allowed here. Mental.
I was going to say, it's never done me any harm.
Actually, Chawner, you know, given that you are not very funny and James Corden's not very funny, is fat the issue? Because, you know, normally people who are not very funny but fat, you know, the bubbly personality and all that sort of thing. I think that's why you're a failure. If you put a lot of weight on, I think you'd be a better person.
So if I go all nutty professor, then that's why.
Yeah.
Right, okay, fair. Yeah, we'll try it. Next week when you sign on here, I'm going to look like Bebendum. I'm just going to be inflated.
So this work for the idea about having a fat chef? Well, a good chef's always a fat chef. A good comedian's always a fat comedian. I don't know. Is that how it works?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Anyway, we can ponder that while I ask you this question. Rishi Sunak was pictured snubbing Matt Hancock as he waited to greet the new PM for a handshake outside number 10.
I think the problem was he couldn't reach up.
Yeah.
That was,
do you know what would have been great? When Rishi ran into number 10 Downing Street, if someone had gone, that would have been great.
Can I just say, that hurts when I have that.
Is that right? Is that like the head equivalent of a Chinese burn for you?
It really is. I get carpet burn on top of the head.
How?
No, if someone wasn't... If someone just do that, it would actually hurt.
I think people forget when a new person moves into 11 Downing Street, they move into the flat above 10 Downing Street as well.
It's a floating freehold.
Yeah. So when does that happen? Like, will he do that?
Do you know the reason? Both houses were donated by previous holders of the office, and number 11 is just a bigger house. Now, of course, the weird thing about number 10 is there's a stately home, I think it's called Bothmore House, which is on Horse Guards Parade, that they've knocked into. But of course, what that still means is the servants' apartments at number 11 are bigger than number 10's, and that's what we use for the Prime Minister.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
I've never heard about that before.
So I would be more excited to move into a new flat than I would to be Prime Minister.
I'd be excited to actually see the wallpaper that Boris has.
I'd be interested to see whether Liz Truss made any changes.
I bet she wasn't even unpacked.
Could you strip the wallpaper a bit?
Can you imagine how gutted you'd be if you were Rishi Sunak? Liz Truss has said to her husband, get that wallpaper off, and he's halfway through scraping it. and now he's coming, well, what have they done there? They have a dog or something. It's ragged, that's terrible.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's great. So, I know this to be, unfortunately, we both know this is true. It
was actually a great image, if you actually watch it. But to be fair, though, I don't think I'd want to touch Matt Hancock either. I wouldn't be sure where he'd been.
No.
Oh, come on. I mean, he's got those moves, hasn't he? You know, you saw him. I mean, that was a very sexy video, in my view.
Can I just check? You did say snubbing, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what I say. You don't want to be seen, so like, he wants to be seen snubbing.
So you're saying it's true?
We're going to say true.
It is absolutely true, but you know something about that video, which I find absolutely extraordinary, that nobody noticed? There's another guy, the MP for Hexham, Guy Oppmann, who's a good friend of mine. Basically, when you see Rishi walk up, Rishi hugs somebody, and Guy Oppmann attempts to hug him as well and gets fully denied. He just goes,
I know, it's a bit awkward, that.
Painful.
Felt a bit sorry for him. Anyway, so...
That happens to me
4
quite
points
a lot.
to 3. Here we go, we're going great guns now. So, sales of fish heads are rocketing at Waitrose as shoppers feel the bite of the cost of living crisis.
Fish heads?
I know this answer.
Oh,
I do know this answer.
You can answer the question.
Yeah,
then.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's to do with the cost of living crisis, isn't it? And the fact that people can't really afford to live as extravagantly as they have in the past.
Well, hang on a second. Surely extravagance is not, I'd never ate a fish head.
No, that's true.
Chew its eyeballs. Although,
That's very specific.
I've got to say to you, right, I didn't know Waitrose sold fish heads simply because normally, and I'm not taking the mick here, they normally come from Chinese suppliers because of fish head curry, which I regularly cook. I love a fish head.
Do you like a fish head curry?
I've never had one.
I should bring in a fish head curry next week and force Chawner to eat it live on that. You're a vegetableist, aren't you? Yeah.
Just the tears.
So what's the reason behind this? Why a fish head specifically?
There's a couple of other items, wasn't it? That was in the story that Waitrose have seen a sudden upsurge in sales.
Yeah.
Because they're not buying the premium products. They're basically going for own brand.
Spam was the other one.
Stuff, own brand fish heads.
But why specifically? Well, is there a reason why they?
The reason you would want a fish head, and they do, a lot of places do sell them. So what you can do is you can put it in your dinner, and it has some meat on it and whatever, and it will make. I mean, the fish head curry is lovely, right? But it's just obviously not as expensive as the salmon.
I think that was ultimately the answer.
So it's just cheaper.
It's just
to buy,
but people still want to be seen to be shopping in Waitrose.
Yeah, it's the aesthetic.
You can get a salmon from Lidl.
I mean, we both live in Windsor, and I have to say, I think I'm the only person in central Windsor who has an Asda delivery. But I sort of get it in cover of darkness. Everybody else is there with Ocado and Waitrose. And I'm like, oh, come on, 2 for 1.
Reminds me of the time when you were on French TV and you had your Asda delivery live on the telly.
What was it? During Harry and Meghan's wedding, French TV wants to interview some locals, and I had a delivery of booze.
live on French telly.
Hey, do you know what? I've got a friend of mine who ended up on German TV. He went on a trip abroad, and he was chatting to this girl, right? And he told her that he did something called urban fox hunt, which is where he gets rollerblades and a javelin and goes around the streets of London harpooning foxes, which of course he doesn't do. It's complete nonsense. Yeah. But her sister worked for the German equivalent of Eurotrash. And Eurotrash phoned up and said, can we film the urban fox hunts? Now, my mate said, do you know what? I thought, sod it, I'll just do it. Right, so he found a dead fox, God knows where he got it from, and he got the javelins and everything. But he said what he discovered was, if you lean back on rollerblades and attempt a javelin, basically all you do is virtually spear yourself.
Oh my gosh.
He said the German film crew came over. And I said, did they believe you? He said, I think they might have believed me at the beginning. They had no doubt whatsoever. It was utter bunkum by the end. Anyway, so on to fish heads. True or false?
I can see that being true.
That is absolutely true. So it's 4 points each. So...
I thought we were in a half-point situation.
No, I gave
you 2 half points.
I gave you 2 half points. The reason is because I don't really like you, if I'm being I just don't like you.
You and all the viewers as well.
I know the viewers absolutely hate you.
You know what this is? This is payback for when you used to win every episode of fake news.
The only reason I come on here is this is a long-term form of self-harm. You just look at the comments and people are like, that guy should die.
Well, yeah, that's right. You and I made a TV show together a few years ago called Fake News, and every week we were team captains. Every week, I mean, I've done better, right? But we were team captains. But I used to lose every week. They just used to make up the scores. Didn't they?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think this is payback.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even score with Dave Chawner.
Oh.
Anyway, so on to fish heads. True or false?
I can see that being true.
That is absolutely true. So it's 4 points each. Channel 5 have been criticised for showing back-to-back Christmas films 2 months before Christmas.
Ooh. Well...
I hope this is true.
The reason why I think this could be is because haven't Channel 5 basically run out of shows to axe? They've basically gone through their repertoire and just got rid of everything.
Really? What like?
Well, I don't know. I'm not for. I mean, it's not even their shows. I mean, most recently they got rid of Neighbours, didn't they?
Yes.
That was quite sad.
Yeah.
And then
Was it though?
I grew up with Neighbours.
Yeah, but you weren't watching it. That was why. I mean, it's like when people go, you can't shut the post office. When did you last go in? 1986.
It's like when a celebrity dies and you go, oh, it's so sad they died, and they made like some others do have them in 1976.
I'll tell you what, that's always a funny thing when celebrities die, where you go, was he still alive? No. Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
I used to do a quiz like this is years ago now. I used to have a round called Morbidity Bingo, and it was like, is Bill Withers still with us? Let's find out. It's so much fun. It's a great little game. You should
what you can normally do is you can normally have a bit of a sweepstake. Who's going to last that year?
Nice.
Mind you, I'll tell you, the Conservative Party have terrible problems at the House of Lords because if it's a cold winter, and also they don't necessarily know who's alive and who's not, because sometimes they don't phone up. But the best thing I heard about the House of Lords was this, right? So obviously it's a whole life appointment. I'm not being rude, but some people obviously intellectually decline towards the end. So what you have to do, I said, how do you stop someone who's just mad turning up in the House of Lords? Madder, just turned up in the House of Lords. And they said what they do is they send the writ to them and they go, Lady Jones, I wonder if you could intercept Lord Jones's writ. And then when he shows up, they go, oh, Lord Jones, have you presented your writ? Well, I think I've forgotten to bring it with me. And they go, oh, we'll just put you in the car and send you home.
Oh!
That's quite sad.
I didn't know that was something they did.
Yeah. Also, I always used to notice...
They look more like the House of Boards. Half of them are asleep.
Yeah. I had a friend who was sat in the public gallery and they went, you can't sleep in here. He's really hungover. And he went, well, they are. to which the doorkeeper went, that's a good point, but they're members of the House of Lords, so I can't stop them.
It's like it shows really what sort of purpose some of them serve, which is basically nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty much.
That's right. Although I wouldn't mind the job, to be absolutely honest. I was thinking, if I do this for long enough, they might take pity on me in the end. I mean, I'm doing better than Chawner already, so,
big time. Well, I think with this, if you're talking about playing Christmas films, I think we've already had The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was Liz Truss. So I think that could be misconstrued.
Who would be Uncle Buck?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nicholas Soames. Nicholas Soames has to come in as Uncle Buck and save the day.
I'm going to say on this one, what are you feeling?
I feel like Channel 5 have got very limited TV content. I think it's true.
OK, we're going to say true.
It is true. And also, I'm going to say to the two of you, you failed to make a Liz Truss Home Alone joke.
Very good. Oh. I was thinking about, very good.
I know. Take the change, you filthy animal. Anyway, right. So, a student at Manchester claims she has reduced her food bill to £5 a month by downloading an app that allows her to eat her neighbours' leftovers.
Neighbours' leftovers? I've seen apps like this where you can actually go to the shops, like, for example, Cafe Nero, for example, and, they have the pastries they sell out, but afterwards they can't sell it after a certain time, so you can get, like, £3.50 and you get a whole bag of them. So I know quite a lot of people that do that, and they get, like, loads of food, like loads of sandwiches, pastries.
See, I understand this, and there are apps like this. I don't know whether this story's true or false.
Yeah.
It only comes up on my screen. I'm lying. after you lock in the answer, as they say on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But look, I understand the whole idea of, these discount stickers and whatever. Yeah. What family? I mean, what family is not going to get a bit of a discount every now and again?
Of course.
But it's the idea of getting your neighbour's food.
Yeah.
These apps where they go, Bob down the road has made some chicken drumsticks. Oh, let's knock on his door and get it.
Yeah, but equally, you're going to get people going, Andre down the road made a fish head curry. Like, what a freak.
No, let's put... I know this app exists. Let's put a fish head curry on and see if anyone's up for it.
I like the idea, though, of them just sort of knocking on their neighbour's door and say, would you mind having pizza tomorrow night? Just so that actually they can get what they want.
See, I live in a street where I've got an Indian guy opposite. We've got a Czech family, Czech family next to us. Then there's a couple of Poles, and then there's a Italian couple.
And sometimes you never ask what your neighbours where they are.
Of saying, I fancy a Italian tonight, Excuse me, Vince, can I...
do you?
Well, I don't, but, that's... you put the idea in my head.
I fancy an Italian tonight while my wife's free.
No! Too easy.
I wanted pizza. I just wanted... All I wanted was, what's that gnocchi stuff?
Some of the smells in the street are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, that's going in, not coming out.
Yeah, that's it.
That's actually a really good point. Like, you say all of this, but do you reckon in any other part of the world, like, I don't think anyone in France is going, I really fancy an English tonight. You know, I don't think anyone in Mumbai is going, nah, it's not the curry, let's go for an English.
There was that great show on Goodness Gracious Me, wasn't there, going out for an English?
That was so good.
We'll have the blend rolls.
The blandest thing on the menu.
I was going to say about the English couple opposite, but they always get the Indian takeaway in, so...
there you go. Great, OK, so has a student in Manchester said that they're down to a £5 a month?
I'm going for false.
Yeah, I just feel like that figure's too small. I mean, I know a lot of students do like struggle, you know, cost of living crisis is affecting students at the moment, but £5 a month for food... Yeah, like every day. Think about that every day. That's too low.
So you're saying false?
Saying false.
You're saying false.
You've just lost the entire quiz. There we go.
No.
Competitiveness to one side. Yeah, well, look, I mean, it did say that a student in Manchester claims to have got down to £5 a month.
Okay.
Whether it's actually true, I do not know. Anyway, I want to thank everyone tonight. Phil, Dave Chawner, and indeed Richard Endacott and Anna McGovern. Until next time, goodbye.